Welcome to The Backlash, a weekly exploration of America's awakening. I am your host, Rebecca Hargraves, joined as always by Mr. Dave Texting Riley.
I'm not texting. I was pinning the tweet to the top of our Twitter account to make sure everybody gets the notification that we're live.
Thank you. Thanks for doing that.
What else should you thank me for? What are you forgetting?
Happy birthday?
No. Thank you for holding down the fort yesterday,
Oh, yeah.
Dave.
Thanks for holding down. It was 100% my fault.
No, it's
my
okay.
baby has the croup, and it was bad enough dropping her off at at her grandparents just now. She did her little lip quivering thing, and I was like, I'm going to hell. I cried all the way over here, so that was great.
This is why women shouldn't work or do
Women
podcasts.
should not. No, everything about this is unnatural. She's in good hands, though. She's at Grandma and Grandpa's. How are you doing, Cameron?
The sick baby is just a cover story. Really, Rebecca had to get a mani-pedi, and she could not reschedule.
I couldn't. Also, I was having a bad hair day, and I was like, we just can't. We can't do it, guys.
Can't have nice things.
We can't have nice things. You can find us on X at Real Backlash, our website, thebacklash.net. Support us on subscribestar.com/thebacklash, patreon.com/thebacklash. Send your super chats that will be read live at the end of our show. Typically on Wednesdays, we do $10 and up, but our viewership is low because of me. So I don't know if we're going to do that. We'll see how the super chats are.
It's fine. We're fine. Aren't we fine? We're fine.
Everything's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
Send your super chats to my YouTube channel, where you might be watching, to our YouTube channel at Real Backlash, or to thebacklash.net/super chat. Follow us on Rumble, Backlash Podcast. Follow us on YouTube. We are going to transfer everything over eventually in the next few months. Find all of our links on thebacklash.net/subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok, even though nobody is on TikTok anymore. Thank you, Larry.
Yeah, now they're all on something called Upscrolled. Which
I heard that guy came out and said that he's also going to be censoring anti-Semitism.
I thought he was a Palestinian.
Yeah.
He
released a statement earlier today.
See, this is how they operate, right? If you don't come out with a statement like that, they probably just ban you from the App Store. And so then,
No point in going to Upscroll.
Oy vey.
We'll see. A big thanks to our sponsors, OD GG Supply if you want to go blanky mode or gorilla mode. These are your folks. Above Time Coffee Roasters. That is small batch, handcrafted, white positive coffee. To the extent that coffee can be white positive. Atlas Bullion, I'm sure that you were trying to get your hands on some gold and silver. I hear they're a little bit backed up, but they're still making it happen. Thank you, Kinsey. Idaho Tallow, that is skincare without endocrine disruptors. Please get their Valentine's box. Husband, if you're watching this, I know you're not. Please get it for me. And Antelope Hill, publishers of white positive literature. Without further ado, Dave, why don't you tell the audience about this swanky event?
Oh, dear Lord. Okay, so we're doing a thing.
We're doing a thing.
We're doing a thing. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I did not practice this at all, so I'm ad-libbing now. You've put me on the spot.
I am, yeah.
But we've got a thing going on. So if you go to thebacklash.net, if you haven't been there in a while, we have updated our promotional pop-up. And so this is happening. This is actually happening. We are going to be doing a very fun, very exclusive weekend. I don't know if you could call it a retreat.
Nope.
It's not going to be a retreat, but it's going to be a lot of fun. You can click on the button, learn more. We're going to be doing a VIP dinner and a whole lot more. Friday, February 27th, we're going to be doing some drinks out at a local establishment. We're going to be getting together. Then on, let's see, there's like a schedule day or the weekend schedule thing. Okay, so Friday, you're going to, if you don't already live here, you're going to arrive here in North Idaho. We're going to go out for drinks. Saturday, we're going to be hosting a brunch together. And then later in that evening, we're going to be taking a little excursion to a VIP black tie dinner. That'll be very fun. And I wish I could share more publicly about it, but I can't.
Oh, okay.
So you will not be disappointed.
You won't, yeah.
There are going to be speakers. There's going to be networking. There's going to be a whole lot going on. And then after our surf and turf dinner, there's going to be post-dinner drinks. And then on Sunday, you can either come to Mass with me or, goof off with Rebecca Sunday morning. But it's going to be a great time. There's 3 different tiers. If you happen to live in the area and you don't need like a hotel or anything like that, $1,000 gets you in the door. There is like an all-you-can-drink VIP cocktail hour that we'll be doing. So that's going to be $1,500. And then if you're going to fly in to come hang out with us for the weekend, we'll take care of all of the accommodations, picking you up from the airport, driving you around town.
You can see my messy mom car.
Right. And that will be, $2,000 all in for the lodging, for the food, drinks, you name it. And there's a lot of activities. There's so much time for activities.
I know.
So much room for activities.
We have a lot of stuff planned. In the fine print, we did have to write that you cannot punch Dave in the face.
That's true.
You cannot grope me.
No groping.
But otherwise, we don't have a lot of rules.
What about groiping?
No groiping either. No groiping.
But yeah, it's going to be a fantastic experience. It's going to be extremely exclusive as well. There's basically enough room for up to 12 people.
Okay.
So it's a little expensive. I get it. $1,000 is the cheapest ticket for this thing.
But we promise a good time. And this black tie dinner, which I will not say more about, except that it is really fun.
It's always a good time.
It's always a good time. Yep.
And might even hit the gun range in that afternoon. It's possible. You could do some like knitting classes or something.
Oh, I'm not very good, but I'll teach you.
I'll take some guys out to the gun range but it's going to be a lot of fun. And the point of this is as a fundraiser. We really want to get a billboard on I-90 over the next couple of months.
We haven't discussed this.
We have not discussed this at all. But I would like to get a billboard on I-90. And this will help us seal the deal. It'll help us do it. There's this smut billboard that I drive by when I drop my daughter off every day. And I'm like, we got to get rid of that. So
that Dave can put a nude photo of himself up there.
Yeah.
That's
just like George Costanza from Seinfeld. You remember he's anyway. But this will serve as a fundraiser, not only for things like a billboard, but also for a much bigger, much larger event that we are working on planning for the summer. So if you want to grope me, yeah, that's fine. I'm for sale. Okay.
He's willing to take one for the team. Look at this guy. This guy over here.
Are you into Hobbit feet?
He really does have Hobbit feet.
Anyway,
you know, all the toes are the same length. They're all hairy.
Go to thebacklash.net/February-dinner, or you should see the promotional pop-up. I'll put a link to this in all of the chats right now, so you can link to it. And also, I think if you go to merch, if you go to the merch area of the website, boom, there it is.
Also, it's worth noting that it is so easy to fly into the Spokane airport.
I
love flying in and out of Spokane. It is the easiest airport to navigate. There are 2 terminals, and there are never any lines. It's awesome.
And I will probably be the one picking you up from the airport, dropping you off, shuttling you around. But the hotel rooms are very nice, right on the river. And yeah, brunch is going to be scrumptious. Maybe we'll get some mimosas. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God. You have to kill yourself now.
Now I have to kill myself.
On that note, let's talk about ice. Excellent transition. So I know we're a day late because of the croup, but we're still going to talk about ice. Everybody's still talking about this shooting. Let's go through the shooting of Alex Preddy. This is a pretty good angle. So federal agents...
No pun.
Yeah, right. Federal agents in Minneapolis wrestled Alex Preddy to the ground and secured the handgun he was carrying moments before shooting him multiple times, according to Washington Post. All right, let's just watch this real quick.
We're watching it.
There it is. I don't know if they actually play the shooting. Oh, yeah.
No, they don't. All right, so yeah, they, okay. And then what happened?
Well, he's dead. They shot him 5 times, 9 times. They shot him multiple times.
Yeah.
So the question that everybody's asking is, was he carrying illegally? Let's pull up 2. The parents of Alex Preddy say their son quit his hospital job months ago and had shown unusual behavior recently. This seems to be the thing that everybody's missing. He seemed to have joined some kind of group. We warned him 2 weeks ago, protest if you want, but don't engage, don't do anything stupid. His father, Michael Preddy, told reporters. He said he understood, but it wasn't until police pulled messages from Alex's phone that the truth began to emerge. It seems that, can you scroll up? I can't see. It seems that Preddy's parents didn't want him participating. It seems he allegedly scrubbed his social media presence one day prior to his actions leading to his death. When you make decisions based on emotions, you make poor decisions. You need your ID. He made bad decisions. But rights come with restrictions. You need your ID and permit on you. Reports say Preddy had neither. He was not carrying legally. That is the unfacetuned picture. I didn't put it in the notes, but MSNBC made him look considerably more handsome.
Oh, yeah.
Than he actually is. Now, let's see. Was he known to ICE before this happened? Let's pull up 3. Yes, he was known to ICE. This is January 13th.
Oh, there's a better video.
There's audio, too.
Ah. Is there?
He says, assault me, motherfuckers. And then he's going to bash out a T-Spitz. And then he bashes out a tail light.
All right. Yeah, there's a better video of this. Didn't I put it in? Is it like a separate link?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Here it is. This was from Greg Price.
January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Preddy interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy. On the morning of January 13th, our team received a tip that federal agents were blocking a street at the corner of East 36 and Park Avenue in Minneapolis. We arrived around 10:15 a.m. We saw observers shouting at the agents as they walked back to their vehicles. When they started driving away, the man kicked their taillight.
So obviously this is being mischaracterized by the media. I'm seeing so many libertarians call this a planned execution of an unarmed protester.
bro.
I
And
know.
it's not just libertarians. There's a lot of people that we're good friends with, at least me anyway. But like, I'm not going to say her name or anything like that. But it's like they're living in this like they're executing unarmed white Americans. It's like these Mises people, you know, and it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
The guy was violent.
Yeah.
He was rioting on the street with a group of communists that are, I'm probably getting ahead of myself here, but they are protesting a group of people that are trying to put an end to systematic fraud. Not only the illegal immigration here, but if in case your brain has, frogged out or whatever, 3 weeks ago, it was revealed that in Minneapolis, there was like billions of dollars of welfare fraud, healthcare fraud, Medicaid fraud, with all of these Somalian daycare businesses that were siphoning money out of taxpayer funds and repurposing it, and sometimes sending it back in like briefcases to fucking Somalia.
That is the story here that people are not talking about sufficiently. They're missing the
missing
forest
the point.
for the trees. The important thing here is that things would not be getting so messy if Trump had done what was necessary before all of this. I mean, he's not deporting people in the masses. Why is he focusing on Minnesota? I liked this tweet. Okay, let me get this straight. Prior administrations deported millions of people, and riots were basically non-existent the moment Trump took office. A coordinated campaign by politicians, legacy media, directly called for resistance to ICE. Once riots happen and people are dying, the spotlight shifts to stopping deportations and defunding ICE. If this was such a crime against humanity, why did no one riot in 2024? The intention behind the unrest is not empathy. Empathy is being manufactured on false grounds to achieve political aims, and people are getting hurt. Now look at that. Mm-hmm. Now the coordinated unrest. Look at that.
Yeah.
So there is a certainly a manufactured element here. I think that ICE is pure theater because none of the actual issues that we are concerned about are getting addressed. You put this in the Telegram.
I did.
This was an excellent article. I encourage
This
everybody.
guy, Jose Nino, he is...
I encourage everybody to read this. This is a
Killing it.
Substack. No.
Jose Nino Unfiltered. Yeah, it's a Substack. He's been making the rounds. He was on Pete Quinones. I think he was on The Fundamental Principle.
We should get him on. I'm just going to read a quick
He's
blurb
in
from
network.
this. The Minnesota operation reveals the administration's true priorities. This is security theater at its worst. If Trump doesn't implement an immigration moratorium, terminate birthright citizenship and chain migration, implement E-Verify, and seriously overhaul the legal immigration system, his administration would be an utter failure on immigration. And if we're being honest, it would further confirm this author's suspicion that Trump is a generic Republican and populist. Clothing, Trump's Immigration Act closes with 2 dead Americans and 0 progress on credibly pushing back against mass migration. So is there going to be an Insurrection Act? Is there? What's going to happen here? I'm hearing a lot of talk about the Insurrection Act. Nope. What Pam Bondi has done is sent a strongly worded letter to Tim Walz. Let's pull up 6.
This is a video.
Yep.
Okay, hold on. I will cue it up. Here we go.
Rape, homicide, manslaughter. That's who they're trying to protect in Minnesota. I do not understand these people. We sent Governor Walz a very strong letter today. We had been working on this letter. We got it out saying that he better support President Trump. He better support the men and women in law enforcement because if he doesn't, we are. And that's what we're doing right now.
Were there any consequences in this letter?
Well, we'll see. This is fluid. Let's see how Governor Walz responds. Let's see what he does based on this, based on what's happening right now. But this administration is going to support the citizens. We're going to support our great men and women in law enforcement.
A strongly worded letter. So what I want to talk about with you two, Bovino supposedly been removed. I don't know. He might have just been shipped to a different location. But did they cut a deal with Tim Walz? And let's talk a little bit about local police versus feds and who is organizing this? Who is truly organizing this? Because this whole thing stinks to me. And so many steps should have been taken before now. Cameron, let's get you in there.
I have absolutely no idea about Tim Walz. I would go to Dave on that.
right.
I'll give you a bigger picture in a minute, but I have no idea, and it doesn't matter in my view.
All right, Dave.
Well, I don't have anything queued up here, but I commented on it a couple of days ago. It was very clear that so the fraud was exposed, right? People were upset about this. ICE was moved into the city, and then the riots started and they snowballed. You know, we had that dumb lesbian bitch that died in the Hondi. Now we have Alex Pretty. And so that had all been escalating. And then Trump, I guess, had a phone call with Tim Walz and the Jewish mayor of Minneapolis, right? And from that point on, I think this was 2 or 3 nights ago, we started to see video of the Minnesota State Police that began rounding up protesters, arresting them, and squashing the street demonstrations. And that happened immediately following this phone call with Trump, right? So it definitely seems as though something happened behind the scenes between the Trump administration, Walz, and the Jewish guy. I forget his name. What's his name? Do you remember the guy's name?
No.
Okay. Anyway, something happened. And now all of a sudden,
Jacob Fry?
yeah. Now all of a sudden, police is cooperating with federal law enforcement. The protests are getting suppressed, and everything is moving ahead. And it's crazy too, because like there's a bunch of other areas in this country where ICE is operating. For example, here in North Idaho, ICE has expanded from 1 agent. Now we have 16 agents here in North Idaho. There aren't any protests. They're not going around blackbagging people and posting TikTok videos about it. They're doing their job. They're getting shit done. And the local police, the local sheriff, and ICE are all working together through the 287G program, and it's all going fine. Mm-hmm. And this is happening all across the country. ICE is working with local sheriffs, and it's fine. The issue is in these Democrat-controlled hives where these liberal communist fucking mayors and city councilors are, like Spokane, for example. Spokane is not cooperating with ICE. There have been protests in Spokane. So yeah, it seems like some sort of a deal was cut, and it seems like it's mostly theater. I was really afraid that, this whole thing was edging towards a civil war the other day, because it's like neither side is backing down. Both sides are escalating. And furthermore, this omnibus spending bill, I don't know if we're going to get into that a little bit later in the program, but the omnibus spending bill funds both sides of this thing. It funds all of the Somalian fraud, and it funds ICE. So it's like, we're just going to give both sides of this conflict money and then push them together just like they're at Charlottesville. And like, oh, nothing bad's going to happen there.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, that's kind of my take on at least that angle of it. Cameron, do you have anything to... I mean, other than just like, listen, there's a lot of people out there that are doing the whole like, they're executing white people in the streets. Fuck them.
Right.
Fuck them. Get the bulldozers, get the tanks, run them over, load them up on a spaceship, load them up on a SpaceX, and deport them into the middle of the sun. I don't care. They're commie, low-life, leftist scum.
Yeah, I don't have camaraderie with all white people.
Deport.
Yeah,
I don't know
real.
what to say.
Go ahead, Cameron.
Okay, so look, I have absolutely no idea what's going on, and Trump is a deal maker of sorts, I suppose. So maybe that happened, maybe it didn't. But the reality is it's irrelevant. We're on an escalatory ladder, and escalation is only going to go one direction. It's only going up, folks. So maybe there's a temporary reprieve, maybe there isn't. But let's try to think about this more holistically. After all, that's why I'm on this program. I don't know all the political ins and outs of Capitol Hill. I don't particularly care, because the structure of the U.S. government and the sovereign authority of, you might say, the president of the United States, that's what this is really about. This is a contest for who is sovereign. In 1789, and 1789 is a year that all of you should bookmark, because it is the beginning of the French Revolution, there was a conference that was convened, a meeting of what was called the Estates General. And the Estates General were basically the three different quarters, or the three different cohorts of French society. One was the clergy, one was the nobility, and the third estate was everybody else. And there were about 3% of the population was in the top two, and the bottom third was 97%. Unfortunately, despite that lopsided distribution of population, the third estate, virtually speaking, had absolutely no power. They were taxed to death, and they were living in a system that was extremely unfair and unequal for all kinds of reasons. Essentially, the system was collapsing because of its own internal inconsistencies. Now, the meeting was called, and as I said, this is the first time in about 170 years that this meeting was held because of a financial emergency. The French government was facing a fiscal crisis. Sound familiar? In any case, June of that year, after weeks and weeks of these various estates meeting, deputies that represented these cohorts, the third estate was threatening, intimidating the king and the other two estates. And so they decided to lock them out of this chamber house in Versailles. And so the deputies went, they tried to get in, they were locked out, and they said, okay, we're going to leave. We're going to go to the closest building or place we can get, which happened to be a handball court, which we today call a tennis ball court. And they had a meeting, and they said, we are going to dissolve the Constitution. We are going to rebrand ourselves from the Third Estate to the National Assembly and effectively declare ourselves sovereign. A month later, you got the storming of the Bastille, and that was the beginning of the French Revolution. 10 years on from that moment, Napoleon Bonaparte charges into the Palace of the Tuileries and says to the Directory, which was a sort of clown show of legal buffoons that had run France into the ground, Napoleon says, citizens, you are dissolved, and a few years later declares himself emperor, and he becomes the sovereign. What I'm suggesting to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, is that the United States is headed for a very similar moment. Why is that? Because the rule of law in the United States has collapsed. It's collapsed because the institutions of power protect the lawless and they punish the lawful. Now, what you're hearing, as Dave Riley and Rebecca mentioned just a moment ago, is that a cohort of libertarians, people on the left, I would call them reactionaries at this stage, probably a broad swath of people on Capitol Hill, representing both the Republicans and the Democrats, they are defending a constitutional order that has prioritized the rights of the lawless. These are tens of millions of illegal immigrants, non-Americans, the vast majority of whom are non-white, and those who aid and abet them. And they're leveraging the sovereign authority of the land, the Constitution, quote unquote, to justify holding the president and federal law enforcement accountable for doing their job, which is to represent the sovereign people of this country, the white ethnos and the slimming majority of the lawful. We are the lawful, they are the lawless. What this means is nothing less than the collapse of a constitutional order. That's it. The Constitution as structured no longer represents us, period. That includes the democratic process, the court system, all of it. And this conflict illuminates that fact with absolute clarity. So we're headed for some kind of a tennis court moment in which the slimming majority of the white population declares itself sovereign and says, we need a new constitutional order. Now, that is not going to come proactively. That is going to happen in the midst of a crisis very similar to what happened to the French population during the French Revolution. And that was triggered largely by financial crisis. In our case, it could be a number of things. Either way, the fact of the matter is, setting aside Donald Trump and his I would say lackluster leadership. Let's go with that. The fact of the matter is that he does not have the sovereign authority because the institutions of power oppose him. And that is why he has not declared the Insurrection Act. Because even though the Insurrection Act gives him broad powers to define what an emergency is, to deputize or federalize National Guard, which falls under the umbrella of the governor of a state. And remember, the governor of a state is a sovereign authority that can challenge the president in a court of law. Even though all of that is the case in the Insurrection Act, as I said a minute ago, the institutions of power, academia, media, the Republican Party, et cetera, they are against the president. They do not support the sovereign will of us, the slimming majority of the white ethnos. They do not support us. They will not affect mass deportation. And that means we are in a constitutional crisis. That is what this is.
Absolutely.
I was just going to mention, this happened here in Idaho back in 1892. There was a series of riots that took off up in Wallace, up in the silver and gold mining district. And it's a long story, and I'm not going to get into it here, but they invented concentration camps here in Idaho. Before the Boer War, before anything else, they called it a bullpen, and they rounded up all the elected officials and all of the miners and all of the union workers and threw them in a concentration camp. And they didn't just do it once, they did it twice.
See, can we return to this great American tradition?
See, it was bad, though, because the governor of Idaho enlisted a black military detachment to round up all the white people and guard them. It was incredibly demoralizing.
What? This happened in Idaho?
Yes, in 1892.
Oh, I had no idea.
It's unbelievable. It's a fantastic story. And,
Well, except for that black militia, they were right there.
There's a document I just sent you, Dave. Maybe you can bring it up on the screen. It's called Calling Forth the Military, A Brief History of the Insurrection Act. The Insurrection Act, as I've said before, and we talked about this on the first program we did on this platform in this program, the Insurrection Act is the foundation of the sovereign authority of the president. It gives him broad executive power to militarize the situation and solve what is an emergency and define what that is. In the summer of 1919, this is from the document, President Woodrow Wilson suppressed race riots in Washington, D.C., Omaha, Nebraska, Elaine, Arkansas, Lexington, Kentucky, et cetera, through the Insurrection Act. He also quelled labor unrest with federal forces in Butte, Montana, Seattle, Washington, Gary, Indiana, Knoxville, Tennessee, et cetera. The bottom line is that what we're experiencing in Minnesota is not unprecedented. It is sanctioned by the Supreme Court and the Constitution. But the institutions of power and their confederates in the media and academia have abandoned us. They do not represent us. They represent the lawless and growing majority, I would say, or growing minority, threatening to be majority of the largely non-white population in this country that is here to do nothing less than to demographically replace us. And they're doing it with constitutional blessing. This is why I've said before, the social contract is done and we need a new constitutional order, period.
This is why there cannot be this right-wing fixation on Alex Preddy and Renee Good, because they represent traitors to the white race, and they are not a symptom of the larger problem, of the appropriate larger problem. The constitutional crisis that we're in is the larger problem. Cameron, of course, is right.
Yeah. But do we want, like, Donald Trump doing this? Like, he's a Zio shill?
Of course not. I talked about this.
It's a rock and a hard place with this thing, because, like, if we had a better leader, it's obvious that you want this to happen. But I think that there's a lot of people, too, probably in this libertarian, left-wing camp, that are like, oh, and they do this with everything. It's all like, Israel trains ICE. The mayor of Minneapolis is Jewish. ICE are like Hamas, like on that New York Times article that we looked at the other day. And it's just all centered around Jews. And it's all centered around Israel. And it's like, do we really want the president that is selling our country out to be the one to like lock everyone down and bring in Palantir surveillance. And I get that, but at the same time, like, enough is enough.
He's not our guy. And I talked about this in my interview with Academic Agent. Please go check them out. There's a new one coming out this week. But he's like, well, don't you have a problem with the president having this kind of authority, like, you know, sending out his goons? And I'm like, listen, if he was our guy, he's genuinely our guy, which he's not. If he were somebody that was, and he wanted to exercise this authority and actually send out goons, I'd be like, right on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but this is a false frame, because as you said, Dave, what did the president do? He cut some kind of deal. Now, again, what the nature of that deal is, I'm sure I don't know. But he also has not passed the Insurrection Act. Why has he not done that? Because he doesn't have the power. He does not have that authority. And that's the problem with Academic Agent and the rest of these people. They don't understand the nature of our government. The structural foundation is incoherent. It is not sufficient to impose the kind of change that we need, which is precisely why I keep saying and belaboring the point as much as I can, we need a new constitutional framework. Now, we're not going to get there because I say so or a growing majority think it. We're going to get there because the legacy constitutional order collapses. That's what you're seeing unfold in Minnesota. And bear something in mind, operating in the background of the instability that pervades the entire country is very definitely a geopolitical catastrophe unfolding in Iran and a financial disaster that's erupting in the U.S. financial system and almost certainly in the dollar system around the world. So the sort of contours of this collapse, they are very definitely there. You're just seeing it manifested in different spaces. And unfortunately, because we are very myopic, because we like to go into these little spaces, people don't take a look above the clouds and say, oh my God, when you look at all of these pieces together, you can very clearly see where we are headed. No, Donald Trump is not Caesar. He's not Cromwell. He was never going to be those things because the structure of government would not permit it, which is why you're seeing the mess in Minnesota that you are.
And this is why we're going to be discussing the collapse of fiat currency and Iran in later segments. But first,
you need to be prepared for anything that could possibly happen because there is growing unrest in the country and there are riots in the streets. And you don't want to be caught at work, unable to get home because a bunch of goofy leftist shit libs have like blocked the highway like they were doing a couple years ago. You need to be prepared. You need a bug out bag and you need to go to odggsupply.com to get yourself prepared. They've got, look at this. They finally redesigned the front page of their website. They've got, look at this. They've got a thermal monocular for sale.
Good Lord.
2 bands on that one. But they've got all kinds of stuff. They've got bags. They've got accessories. They've got everything you need to create the ultimate bug out bag to put in the trunk of your car. They've got all kinds of tactical vests, bulletproof vests, helmets, everything that you would need to protect yourself from goofy leftists that might come to like kill you, scopes, thermal imaging. And all of this has been battle tested in the field by Alex over at ODGG Supply. They go out rucking like once every other week. They test all of this stuff themselves. It is the best military surplus in the game. Go to odggsupply.com, and if you use promo code Backlash25, you will get free shipping on all of your orders. So don't be caught unprepared. You know, Scout's honor, be prepared. So go to odggsupply.com.
Smooth.
Very good, very
Smooth
smooth.
as butter.
And please follow them too. They've got some of the funniest content.
PNW Gorilla on Twitter.
Alex was just over at SHOT Show in Las Vegas, going around looking at all of the new guns and all the toys that they've got. You know, very nice, very good.
We did interview him on our channel too about 2 or 3 months ago, so check that out.
We're gonna have to have him back. I see this is one of the things. If we can get some people to buy these tickets for this black tie dinner,
we can do stuff like that.
We're gonna do like, maybe we'll bring him out and we could do like a training. You know,
we have big plans for the show.
It's gonna be lots of fun.
Let's
IRL.
get back to this subject. Is this a distraction from the fiat meltdown that we are currently experiencing? Now, this morning, I had some information up that was already made irrelevant by the course of a few hours. So let's pull up let's pull up 7. This is from 5 hours ago, so I don't even know how accurate this is. But gold and silver wiped out 5.9 trillion worth of market cap within 30 minutes. To put that in perspective, we just saw the wealth equivalent to the combined GDP of UK and France evaporate in less time than it takes to order a pizza. A move of this magnitude in such a compressed time frame is far beyond a standard Six Sigma event. It's off the charts historically. I don't need to read all of this, but the turbulence in the gold and silver market, let's pull that up.
Look at those charts.
That is just insane.
Yeah.
This is not normal. Absolutely not normal.
No, you would have a better chance of being struck by lightning and winning the lottery in the same day than you do to normally see something like this. Let me.
Obviously, this represents an issue with the trust in fiat currency. But Jerome Powell says, don't worry about it. Can you pull up clip 8? This doesn't mean anything.
Hold on. Before we do that, I do just want to, let's pull up my Apple stocks. Because, okay, so this is the day chart. Look at that swing, man. Okay, so it dipped 7%. Holy cow. Trying to swear a little bit less here, but it's already recovered from there. It's already not completely, but it's back up. It's now we're only down what? Let's see, 2.25%.
Only even that is an astronomical.
That would be normally that would be like a massive move, but it's like.
Can you pull up silver while you're in there?
Yeah, these things are acting like frickin'. I mean, let's pull up the 3-month on gold. I mean, look at this. These things are looking like crypto meme stocks, not gold and silver, not like hard money. Let's take a look at silver on the 1-day timeline. Kerploo. I bought the dip. Down 11% in 30 minutes today, and now it's back up. Let's go from here. How about that? 2% there. Unbelievable.
So what does this mean for broader markets? Are we to listen to Jerome Powell?
We can listen to Jerome Powell. Let's see what Jay Powell has to say.
Jay Powell.
We've seen for precious metals.
Don't take much message macroeconomically. The argument can be made that we're losing credibility or something. It's simply not the case. If you look at where inflation expectations are, our credibility is right where it needs to be. So we look at those things. We don't get spun up over particular asset price changes, although we do monitor them, of course.
Astounding. Listen to inflation estimates. Don't listen to turbulence in stable markets and stable asset markets. Let's pull up 9. What does Trump have to say about the support of the U.S. dollar collapse?
Comfortable, Mr. President, with the current value of the dollar? Do you think it's declined too much?
No, I think it's great. I mean, the value of the dollar. Look at the business we're doing. No, dollar's doing great.
Unreal.
Oh my God.
Look at the business that we're doing. The dollar is doing.
Hold on. I'm going to pull up the Dixie real quick. DXY. Let's take a look at the dollar currency index. Okay, hold on. We're on the day. Let's go to, come on here. Let's go to a week.
Duh.
All right, hold on a second. We are basically at the lowest point since February of 22. That's significant. That is significant. It could go a lot lower. When was this? This was in 2007. But man, yeah, see here I've got my little annotations looking at the different administrations. But yeah, that's the dollar plummeting. Oops. Not good.
No. This obviously represents an underlying issue.
Not good. It depends on what you want, right? Like, in order for us to reshore manufacturing here, we do need a weaker dollar.
Yes.
So they're doing this on purpose.
Of course.
That's why Trump is up there saying, oh, I think it's great. Look at all the business we're doing. Yeah, you're doing that because you're like making people broke so that these corporations can afford to build, manufacturing facilities in America. But at the same time, you're like nuking everyone's pocketbook. Anybody that's not holding real assets is getting left behind.
Let's pull up 10. Let's talk a little bit about unrealized losses before we move on. U.S. banks are now sitting on $337 billion in unrealized losses. Look at that.
Look at that chart.
Look at what happens around 2022.
Yep, COVID.
What's going to happen? Are we just going to keep carrying these losses?
Or no, actually, that wasn't COVID. This was
after
Silicon Valley Bank's failure, wasn't it? And there were some other charts that I saw with the SOFR and repo markets, and it's like the moment that Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, everything just hockey sticked right up.
Yep.
I'll see if I can find that. But
before you do, let's see what the IMF is saying about the dollar. So the International Monetary Fund preparing for the possibility of a rapid sell-off of U.S. dollar-denominated assets. Its managing director said on Monday at the fund, one muscle that we're building, this is such IMF speak, is our ability to hypothetically present scenarios, hypothetically, of unthinkable events and then figure out what to do unthinkable events. She said it at a Brussels-based think tank, asked whether the scenario includes a potential run on dollar assets. She said the fund runs all kinds of scenarios and it was examining the issue as part of an ongoing analysis. You know what that means. It means they're freaking out and they're going to have to plan for this eventuality. Did you have something you want to pull up?
yeah, I did. This is the overnight SOFR volume. Look at this. So this was COVID. This was the repo crisis in September 2019. This is, COVID, whatever, in March of 2020. The rest of this, oh my God, this is when Silicon Valley Bank collapsed. And it's just been going up and up and up and up and up ever since. It's broken. The system is broken.
It's absolutely broken.
And essentially what this represents is $18 trillion of quantitative easing, stealth quantitative easing that's been going on behind the scenes.
Is AI going to save us? What do you think?
No.
Let's pull up 12. You don't have confidence that these mythical robots are going to pull us out of an inevitable decline in fiat currency? All right, this is Ken Griffin of Citadel. Let's watch this whole thing. Sorry, guys, it's only a minute.
It's okay.
The area of recklessness is the spending of governments around the world, who are all, with little exception, all spending well beyond their means. That's the recklessness of this moment in history. This is not a parallel to the 1920s in terms of the recklessness of the private capital markets. It's a story of the recklessness of government spending. Within the private sector, there's a huge question as to where AI will take us. And I was carefully taking notes and listening to what Larry has to say, or to what Madame Lagarde has to say, because this is one of the big issues of our moment. Will AI create the productivity acceleration that is honestly that's hoped for in Washington and in the halls of government around the world as a way to overcome the profligate spending that we're currently engaged in? Like the world needs a savior. And the hope is that AI is the savior
Oh my God.
that we need for productivity. And the challenge with this is it may or may not be. We just don't know yet.
These nebulous ideas of how AI is going to sweep in some way and save our economy. It's so preposterous. Can you pull up this Oracle data center? I think it
How
is
about Jesus Christ
13.
is the savior?
Right,
Like
I know.
these people are trying
AI
to
is
create a
gonna be
computerized antichrist that's going to control the world. It's unbelievable.
It runs parallel to the singularity, right?
Before we get to this data center thing, I did want to mention on my podcast last night. No, on the Dave After Dark I did last night, filling in for Rebecca. I mentioned how data centers are using silver because it is actually a better conductor than copper. And so they've been using silver Cat 5 or Cat 7, whatever they're called, cables. So, and I saw somebody that commented was like, what the fuck are you talking about? You have no idea. They're not using silver for cables, blah, blah, blah. Because my argument was that these data centers that are being put in all over the country, they can't actually build the data centers with a paper silver call or options on silver or paper silver ETF, whatever. They need the actual physical silver because it's used in data lines. And so somebody said, Dave, that's not how it works. Well, actually, yeah. Here's an article about it. Go read up on it. This is Silver's Next Frontier, how AI data centers are powering a new era of silver demand, and it's because they're using it in the cables because it gives them like a nanosecond better transmission.
I did know that, but I don't think this is meaningfully contributing to fluctuations in the silver market because we're seeing it paralleled with gold that has much fewer industrial uses.
Well, gold, and we'll probably get into this, gold is being bid up by the Chinese and other countries that are using, they're going back to the gold standard. Right. It's obvious that America's broken its promises when it comes to the dollar. And so China is refocusing on gold. But the silver demand, that's happening because the Tesla cars, they use silver. These data centers are now using silver. What do you call those? What is this?
How on earth am I supposed to know?
Solar power generation, solar cells use
this, he says.
Silver. And so there's a lot more industrial demand. You need it for torpedoes and bombs, So people actually need the physical silver. That's what seems to be driving up silver. What's gold is just the monetary system imploding. And now I'm done, and I'll pull up the thing.
AI is not going to be our savior. T.J. Cowan had a data center themed analyst today. This is from a few days ago that said that Oracle may lay off 20 to 30,000 people to keep up with the debt on the data centers it's building for OpenAI. It also says multiple U.S. banks have pulled back from Oracle data center deals. A few months ago, we talked about, was it the recent GDP analysis and how much? I think I don't want to misspeak, but I think it was like 20% of the analysis was propped up solely based on the production of these data centers.
Yep.
This is the infrastructure, the supposed infrastructure that is holding up our economy, and it basically doesn't exist. And we should all be troubled by this, and for these calls for AI to demonstrate some savior ability in terms of our economy. I know you want to talk a little bit about Tether.
Well, yeah, I mean, so as all of this is happening, we saw today this, how much was that again? It was $5 trillion.
$5.9 trillion.
Trillion dollars. Okay. The entire market cap, here we go. The entire market cap of Bitcoin is like 1.75 trillion right now. So that's like 2 or 3 times the size of the market cap of Bitcoin.
Right.
That the market fluctuated. And the government, they just passed something called the Genius Act. We talked about that a little bit over here. The Genius Act regulates stablecoins and banks, yield, and how all of this stuff is going to work. Well, just this week, it is a huge announcement. Tether has announced the launch of USAT, the world's first federally regulated dollar-backed stablecoin made here in America. And so it goes on. This is their press announcement. I don't know why it's not centered. That's annoying. Why is it on the right side of the screen? That's very annoying.
And you trust these people with your money?
Well, but so here's the thing. So you've got USDT, which is the decentralized version of Tether that some of us have been using for the past decade. Now there's this USAT, which has been built and regulated for the United States. Of course, we talked about this a little bit after I went to the Bitcoin conference. There are theories out there about how stablecoins will provide more demand for U.S. treasuries, for bonds, because the bond markets have been exploding and it's gone out of control. And so by lining up a company like Tether to have increased demand on U.S. treasuries as a way of reducing the percentage on loans and stuff like this. But we talked about it at the time. Even if Tether expands at like 60% a year for the next 10 years, it'll only offset something like 5% of U.S. debt.
Right.
But as this is all happening, as we're looking at what Tether is doing here, you got to be aware also that Tether is now the world's largest gold holder, the world's largest non-sovereign gold holder in the world. They've got a nuclear bunker in Switzerland where they're now storing 140 tons of gold. So what Tether is doing, they are buying treasuries that have like what, a 4% yield.
This is a layman's question, but are they forcing us into a stable coin?
Yes. Well, and this is just it. Like everybody's been all concerned about, oh, what about a CBDC? A CBDC, that's bad. Well, this is a PBDC. This is a private bank digital currency. And I don't think I have it on here. Let me pull it up. There were the bank that they were launching it with. Oh, come on. Anchorage Digital Bank is the bank that is backing this whole thing. And you're going to see a lot of very familiar faces. Let's see. Where is Resort Company about? We're going to take a look at some of the people that are involved in this. You might recognize this guy down here. Stanley Druckenmiller is one of their advisors from Dickensie Capital. But, you know, you got a bunch of people here that are involved with this thing. Blockchain Capital Paradigm. A16Z, anybody? That ringing any bells? Who's that guy? Mark Andreessen. Okay, David Sachs. This is all the David Sachs people. This is all the Mark Andreessen people. And they are setting themselves up to be the arbiters of this private bank digital currency.
Wow, what could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? And so Tether is buying all these treasuries, and then they're using the yield on the treasuries to buy more gold. And so they're bidding gold up, and they've got a new thing now. And again, this is not like a good thing necessarily. I'm not a Tether fanboy. But they've got a new thing. Let me come down here. Tether Gold.
This sounds like it's an unequivocally bad thing.
Yeah. So essentially, the idea is that going back to the gold standard, it's hard to mail gold. You're not going to make purchases with gold in the mail. So they're digitizing it, tokenizing it, and they're running it all on a blockchain backed by physical gold. And they're also coming up with these derivatives. If we go back here, there's something called Alloy, which is a new initiative that they just launched, a tethered asset backed by Tether Gold.
Ugh.
So they're creating a new digital monetary system that is basically running on a private blockchain. And because it's not the government doing it, it's a private bank that's doing it, all of a sudden, oh, it's not a CBDC. Oh, don't worry about it.
But it effectively is.
But it effectively is. And if you read Whitney Webb and what's the guy's name that she works with? I forget. Anyway, Whitney Webb has done a lot of really interesting work on this. But there is definitely a paradigm shift that's happening.
I need some big picture analysis from you, Cameron. All right, this is a big question. Let's see if you can conquer all of it. Can you discuss a little bit about AI, the influence on the global economy, what Jerome Powell said about gold and implied silver not representing meta economic trends, and what does this mean for the broader economic and international economy? What does this really mean, all of this volatility, especially in the precious metals market?
No, that's just a little bit of stuff. You got anything else you want to add to that? It's funny because when I listen to Dave, I can tell he spends a lot of time on Twitter. And I absolutely despise Twitter. It is a platform of uninformed people who really do not know what they're talking about. And unfortunately, one of them on this particular subject of CBDCs is one Whitney Webb, who is severely uninformed about the nature of markets and how markets move. One thing that you guys got to understand, and I feel like I'm screaming into the abyss here because
Sorry, Cameron.
I hear lots of talking points. No, it's not just you guys, but there's a bankruptcy of thinking in the United States. We're too entrenched in anachronisms. Part of the reason I think that is I have a basic theory that there's this thing called digestion. You have these ideas. And ideas, I think, when they're hatched, are usually, if they're good ideas, they're very accurate, they're very precise, they're very topical. But it takes a long time for people in the masses to actually digest those ideas. And so by the time they do digest them, the ideas are just not very valid anymore, right? So I'll give you some examples later on, but a couple things. In order to have a monetary system, you have to have trust. Now, there is a law that expresses this. It's called Metcalfe's Law. And this is a big problem. For anybody that goes into business, what you demonstrate or what you experience right away is the problem of finding customers. Now, people on Twitter will tell you, well, this is easy. Just run a propaganda campaign. Well, that's not how the real world works, folks. You actually have to have a product, you have to have adoption, and you have to have some degree of widespread trust. If you do not have those things, you don't have adoption. Now, for a moment here, let's talk about the CBDC. The central bank digital currency is already effectively in place. It just means that there is a digitalization of your dollar. We have that, right? We already log into an account. We have an electronic dollar. What the CBDC means is that instead of having an account at JP Morgan Chase or at Bank of America, you effectively have only one account at the Fed. Now, there is a lot of opposition to that from the banks because the banks go out of business if you and I do not bank with them. There's a lot of resistance to that politically because if there's one bank and everybody uses it, obviously there's a consolidation of control that lends itself to a kind of surveillance state, right? It opens a very slippery slope to awesome power that a lot of people in the Western world won't permit. But in addition to that, it also means that all of the monetary problems then are concentrated at the Federal Reserve Bank that controls the CBDC. So it doesn't much matter if all of the banks have digital dollars that are inflating to nothing, or if just one bank has all of the digital dollars that are inflating to nothing. The point is that they are digitally inflating to nothing, which means that people exit that network. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that gold and silver go up in value. Now, there's something else that Dave said that's floating around on Twitter that's I think is absolutely false. Sorry, Dave.
It's okay.
How I feel.
Take me to school, Cam.
Silver is it's fundamentally important in a lot of industrial processes. That's true. He mentioned electric vehicles. He mentioned solar panels, data centers as well. But that's only about 50% of the demand for silver. And if you look at the quantities that a lot of these companies need, it's really not all that much, okay? What's moving silver is not that. What's moving silver is a monetary demand because the dollar's being destroyed. And so at a lot of these exchanges in the Western world where they have bastardized the real value of silver and gold because of paper contracts, right? Because of a digital representation of gold and silver rather than taking physical delivery. Because of that, all of a sudden now that people want silver and they want gold and they go to the exchange and they say, no, I don't want a paper contract. I want the actual physical thing. Well, now there's a massive crisis and there's a mania that has started primarily concentrated in Asia. Now, let's talk about what Jerome Powell said for just a moment. Jerome Powell knows very well the value of gold, as do most of the bankers in this respect. Bren Bernanke, who was a Fed chairman a couple chairs ago, and I think a very effective one, especially in terms of communication, he said that the job of the Fed is 98% talk and 2% action. This is correct. Most of the time, the Fed's job is just to have a press conference and assuage the fear and the anxiety in the marketplace. That's it. They're sort of like the Wizard of Oz. They just come out and they pretend that they've got everything under control when in fact they go back into the boardroom and they say, shit, guys, we're fucked, right? A lot of that is actually going on. I think it's going on at the BIS. I think it's going on in the Bank of England. It is certainly going on in the Bank of Japan. Why is that happening? Why is there panic in the central banks behind the scenes? Well, because the dollar is falling, and it isn't being engineered by the president of the United States. It's sort of the consequence, as the IMF said in their little document, in their paper. It is the consequence of the president challenging the Fed as an institution. Remember, we talked about this. We said there was going to be blowback if the president tried to undermine the credibility of an independent central bank. Well, now you're seeing it. The dollar falls and gold and silver rise. That's an example. What about this sort of disruption internationally? Yeah, that's a big problem because now increasingly powers in East Asia like China, certainly powers in the Middle East, definitely the Europeans and the Russians, they look at us as an unreliable partner. And that also factors into using our currency, which is an expression of social trust. Remember, the dollar is not unbacked. It is backed by the productivity of our economy. It's backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government, by the U.S. military, by our steady hand of leadership. Well, needless to say, Donald Trump has not been a steady hand, and he's rattling the cages. And so people are looking at the United States and saying, well, should I invest there? So that's another problem. In addition to that, I think both of you are aware that our debt continues to go up. It continues to sky high, and interest rates continue to stay high and move higher. This is a big problem. And because the debts are as large as they are, you can't just simply go to the markets and say, well, business is great. Everything is coming up roses, which is what the president does. That's not convincing anymore. And it's not just not convincing, by the way, to foreigners around the world or central banks or hedge funds. It's also increasingly not convincing to the American people. Well, why is that? Because the American people are hurting, because they're living paycheck to paycheck, because they don't live in a society, as we established a moment ago, where the lawful are protected by the sovereign authority of the land. No. In our society, it's the lawless that are protected at our expense. Our cities are not safe. We don't have jobs. Those privileges are bestowed upon the lawless, the tens of millions of non-Americans who are not citizens of this country, who benefit from the largesse of the wealth that we have created and they have stolen from us. All of this is weakening the dollar. It's destroying the credibility of our institutions, and it is surging the price of gold and silver. One other component here that's very important. The rest of the world, folks, is getting its act together. Every politician likes to stand on some kind of soapbox and talk about how great America is. I don't think we're great. I think our population is obese. I think a lot of us are ignorant. I think a lot of us haven't paid any attention. We don't even know our history or our culture, and our government is a mess. We are not a great country anymore. And the rest of the world, like it or not, they have their problems. They have corruption. They have economic developmental issues, to be sure, but they have a concept of national identity. They have governments that are implementing a national strategy. They are accumulating industrial power and resources and building infrastructure while we pretend we don't know the difference between men and women or a citizen and a non-citizen. And as a result of that, there is a shift in the distribution of power in the world, and it is playing itself out in currency markets right before you. This is going to get ugly. It's going to get very ugly. So be prepared, because those unrealized losses that Rebecca mentioned a moment ago, they're going to be realized. And just to be very clear with all of you, I gave a sort of investor presentation to my group, I want to say in the middle of the summer in 2022. And I said, look, we're going to have banking crises in the next 6 months. We did. We had two. One that happened in the United Kingdom. It's the so-called Liz Truss moment, when the UK Treasury market blew up because you had all these pension funds that flooded into UK gilts or treasuries because they were a pristine asset. They were viewed as only ever going to rise in value, but they didn't. All of a sudden, interest rates rose, which means bond yields, or rather bond values, fall. And so you had all these pension funds that had to liquidate large amounts of treasuries, which for all intents and purposes became toxic debt. The very same thing happened in Silicon Valley Bank, and then that very quickly spread to the regionals. And just to be clear with all of you, when Silicon Valley Bank blew up, it was the 20th largest bank in the United States. It collapsed in 48 hours. $1 million per second was withdrawn from that bank in a 24 to 48 hour period. And why? Because all of a sudden investors got tipped off that Silicon Valley Bank was underwater. They panicked and boom, it was over that fast. Do not think for a second that at Bank of America or JP Morgan Chase that can't happen. And a CBDC ain't going to save these folks, and neither will Tether. The dollar system as constructed is imploding. And I'm sad to say our president is doing everything in his power to accelerate that shift.
Yeah, and by the way, there's supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be 45 minutes ago, a emergency announcement from Donald Trump from the Oval Office, but I don't think that's
Is he going to talk about Iran?
See, and this
That's
is the
not
kind
it.
of shit, like, I can't tell. That looks like old video. Don't know. We don't know what it could be. It could be about the dollar stuff, or it could be about Iran. We don't know.
I'm sure it's about Iran.
But one way or another, there is only one real way to be prepared for this great global monetary reset that we're going through right now, and that is to hold physical gold and silver, which you can do with our friends at Atlas Bullion. atlasbullion.com/backlash. You'll be able to buy gold and silver that will, I'm not financial advice, do your own research, whatever, but that will retain its value in the wake of a falling, collapsing United States currency. You'll be able to protect your wealth, protect your hard-earned money in a asset that can't just be inflated away. They can't just print more of it. They've got subscriptions starting as low as $55 a month for silver, $200 a month for gold. But really, I've got to say this again. I literally have $1 in my bank account. I don't keep money in the bank because it's worth less literally every single fucking day. It is worth less money
Until it
today
becomes
than it
worthless.
was a week ago. And it's going to be worth less in the future. Barring some bizarre thing, which I don't see happening. It's collapsing in real time.
Listen, just one thing, Dave. I don't mean to cut you off, but this is important. Look, I travel extensively, as most of you at this stage probably know, and I use different banks. But recently, the last time I was in the United States, I was in a credit union withdrawing money, and I was withdrawing a sizable amount, as I have done throughout my life. Because, like you, Dave, I'm naturally skeptical, particularly of the banking system, for all kinds of reasons. But there was somebody else in line with me, and he sort of caught wind of what I was doing, and he said, "Hey, are you pulling your money out of the bank?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Yeah, I'm thinking about doing the same thing too." People know what's going on, right? They're not stupid, especially when you screw with people's money. And there's an economic principle. It's called Gresham's Law, and Gresham's Law plays out in a lot of developing countries. Americans don't pay attention to these things because we've had the dollar for a long time and the perception of stability. But countries often go into these cycles where they print lots of money. Guess what people do, folks? They exit the currency. They start trading other things. They use Bitcoin in some cases. There are some very good test cases on Bitcoin usage in some of these countries where monetary systems have collapsed, and the government has outlawed Bitcoin or equivalent outside money. And guess what? The value of those currencies only goes up in those countries because people create black markets. They leave whatever the official monetary system is because it's destroying you, right? In Istanbul, Turkey, where I am today, a lot of people have dollars. Same thing as what I saw in Argentina. People had dollars, they had gold, they had Bitcoin. They don't trust the monetary system. This is the world that we're going into, but it's not going to look like some kind of Whitney Webb panopticon, because when trust is broken, everybody exits, and they exit fast, which is exactly what happened at Silicon Valley Bank. Don't think people are stupid. They're not. They figure it out. And when they figure it out, there's a panic. Our message to all of you folks is pay attention now. because it's going to get harder and harder to get out when everybody else figures it out too.
Staying ahead of the panic got people rich in the Great Depression. Think about that.
Very true. So the point that I did want to make, though, and then we'll wrap this up, is with their gold subscription, right? You can get their gold at atlasbullion.com/backlash. They've got these gold subscriptions as low as like $200. Here's the thing that you need to be aware of. When you buy fractional gold, when you buy fractional silver, you pay a higher premium, which means that you're getting less of the metal for your money. So if you are sitting on a sizable amount, you want to buy in the biggest chunk that you can handle. So that means if you have, let's say, what is it? How much is it right now? Because it's all over the place. $5,372. If you have like 10 grand to invest, or just sitting that you don't have any planned uses for, it would be better for you to buy 1.5 ounces of gold as opposed to 1 ounce in tenths of gold, if that makes sense. You'll wind up spending an extra $1,000 or $2,000
just on the premium
to have smaller denominations of the gold. So
that being said, if we get to a barter economy, having small amounts of gold is going to be important.
True, but yeah, but just so people are aware with these subscriptions and stuff like that. Anyway,
buy what you can.
Yeah.
Oh man, do you ever wonder what it's like to be Cameron? Like, I'm operating at 100% financial, intellectual capacity right now. And he's just like, let me tell you why what you believe is Twitter-based and retarded.
Yeah, but I mean, again, look, these are complicated issues.
That's true.
It takes a long time to understand these things. I started studying the monetary system in 2010 because I felt exactly as you do. And I remember when I was in the service, that's when the subprime mortgage crisis hit. And I've talked about this before, I think, on this platform. But when I joined the service, we were spending whatever we could, however we could. I mean, it was just lavish. And after that subprime mortgage crisis, after the great financial crisis in 2008, everything just stopped. I mean, we canceled equipment acquisition, port visits. We were cannibalizing equipment, and I didn't know why. And so I came back and I was determined to understand what the hell was going on. And it took me a long time because this system is so opaque. It's so complicated. But at root is us. It's human beings. And the bankers forget that. That's why they always get into trouble. That's why Ben Bernanke and company, there was a famous hearing between Ben Bernanke and Ron Paul. This is like 15 years ago. And Ron Paul, who was a steadfast gold bug, asked Bernanke, he said, well, what is gold? And Bernanke said, well, it's a pet rock. And so Ron Paul said, okay, well, if it's a pet rock, why do you hold it? And Bernanke said, well, tradition, right? Obviously, Ron Paul's correct that gold and silver are money. Most of the world believes it's money. That's why we evangelize it on this program. But the bankers don't. They believe whatever they say is money is money. And that's why the majority of the gold in the world, in my opinion, is probably sitting in Asia and not in the West, because I think it's been pilfered by these leeches that have put all of us in this financial machine to churn us to bits.
Oh, absolutely.
But understanding that is very difficult. It's very difficult.
And what is the focus of the Trump presidency? It's not the collapse of the dollar, because that's so great for business. It's not silver markets. It's not gold markets, because that doesn't mean anything about the broader economy. It's Iran. It's going to war with Iran. This happened, was this yesterday? Trump posted on Truth Social yesterday. Massive armada is heading to Iran. I got to get my glasses. Can you read this?
A massive armada is heading to Iran. It is moving very quickly with great power, enthusiasm, and purpose. I'm not doing the whole thing.
You don't have to.
It's a larger fleet headed by the great aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln sucked.
Oh, yeah.
That was sent to Venezuela. Like with Venezuela, it is ready, willing, and able to rapidly fulfill its mission with speed and violence if necessary. Hopefully, Iran will quickly come to the table in scare quotes, and negotiate a fair and equitable deal. No nuclear weapons. One that is good for all parties. Time is running out. It is truly the essence. Time is truly of the essence. As I told Iran before, make a deal. They didn't, and there was Operation Midnight Hammer, a major destruction of Iran. The next attack will be far worse. Don't make that happen again. Thank you for your attention in this matter, President Donald Trump. God damn.
Yeah, Iran UN responded, said last time the U.S. blundered into wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, it squandered over $7 trillion and lost more than 7,000 American lives. I thought this part was interesting because the response is written in Trump-like language. Iran stands ready for dialogue based on mutual respect and interest, but if pushed, this is capitalized, it will defend itself and respond like never before.
Like never before.
Exclamation mark. I thought this was such an interesting response because they're speaking to him in the terms in which
the
he
language
understands.
that he understands, right?
Yes. Man, I don't even know where to start on this. Let's start with this Rand Paul Rubio interrogation, because I think that this really cuts to the heart of the matter.
Let's take a look at this video.
His ears.
Bruh.
So
Our founders
dysgenic.
debated extensively over which branch of government should have the power to declare or initiate war. Virtually unanimously, they decided, and what was entered into the Constitution was that the declaration or initiation of war would be the power of Congress. Now, we have many advocates, many of whom are here today, who have been advocates for an expansive notion of presidential power. They often argue that wars are not really wars, that they're kinetic actions or drug busts. I think, though, if you reverse the circumstances, it becomes very difficult for these arguments to hold up. So I would ask you, if a foreign country bombed our air defense missiles, captured and removed our president, and blockaded our country, would that be considered an act of war?
Well, I think your question is about and I will acknowledge you've been very consistent on all these points the entire career. So let me no matter who's in charge. So I will point to two things. The first is it's hard for us to conceive that an operation that lasted about 4.5 hours and was a law enforcement operation to capture someone we don't recognize as a head of state, indicted in the United States, wanted with a $50 million bounty.
My question would be, if it only took 4 hours to take our president, it's very short, nobody dies on the other side, nobody dies on our side, it's perfect. Would it be an act of war?
We just don't believe that this operation comes anywhere close to the constitutional definition of war.
But would it be an act of war if someone did it to us? Nobody dies, few casualties, they're in and out. Boom, it's a perfect military operation. Would that be an act of war? Of course it would be an act of war. I'm probably the most anti-war person in the Senate, and I would vote to declare war if someone invaded our country and took our president. So I think we need to at least acknowledge this is a one-way argument. One-way arguments that don't rebound, that you can't apply to yourselves, that cannot be universally applicable are bad arguments.
That's good. Obviously, they're discussing Venezuela, but this applies to Iran because we're just going to act unilaterally, irrespective of any given nation's treatment of the United States. We're going to get in, we're going to do what we want, and it doesn't really matter if it meets requirements for what is war. The government doesn't care about this. Rubio has no answers. He's just sitting there looking absolutely dumbfounded. Iran, can you pull up 17? Is already rejecting key U.S. negotiation terms. They reportedly signaled it would not accept several core U.S. conditions for any nuclear talks, a complete ban on uranium enrichment, limits on long-range ballistic missiles, and end to support for proxy groups across the Middle East. Of course, they're not going to agree to these negotiation terms. They'd have to be insane to agree to these terms. This is breaking news as of yesterday, I believe, so let's pull up 18. Iran now has 80,000 drones ready for battle and is producing 400 per day, with Russia reportedly helping to boost production. China has warned the U.S. against military intervention in Iran. Apparently, they're also helping in the fight. And then let's pull up 20. The American forces have completed their buildup near Iran, which certainly indicates that the military option against Iran has been decided upon and will be executed. Did you get any information about this breaking press conference that Trump is having right now?
No, I got a text message. I guess he held a conference like earlier today, and I'm not sure if this is it, and it's like off base or whatever. But He said, I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people who own their own homes. You can be sure that will happen. I mean, we can play this real quick.
This cannot be what it was about today.
I don't think so, but this is what people are sending.
I think Scott said, though, is, again, existing housing, people that own their homes, we're going to keep them wealthy. We're going to keep those prices up. We're not going to destroy the value of their homes so that somebody that didn't work very hard can buy a home. We're going to make it easier to buy. We're going to get interest rates down. But I want to protect the people that for the first time in their lives feel good about themselves. They feel like they've, that they're wealthy people. And I want them to understand that, there's so much talk about, we're going to drive housing prices down. I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people that own their homes. And they can be assured that's what's going to happen.
Bro.
Is this what he's talking about right now? I mean, I suppose
I don't know.
It's an important domestic issue.
This was early. This was at 12:30. So that was at like 9 a.m. our time. This does not seem to be whatever the emergency meeting was, but this was a cabinet meeting. I don't know.
When are people gonna call this guy on his bullshit? I mean, my God, man, it's just pure pablum wrapped in sophistry to the max. Yep. What is he talking about? I'm gonna keep home buyers or homeowners homes at current levels and higher, and at the same time, I'm going to make homes affordable. In what universe does that make any sense whatsoever? What is this guy talking about?
I don't know. People have confirmation bias with Trump, so they're not questioning him to the degree that they should be.
This is a new article. This is on Drudge. Trump warns Iran. God, I can't say that. I want to say Iran.
Yeah.
But it's Iran. And I get people bitching. It's not Iran, it's Iran. So I wind up totally messing it up anyway. Trump warns Iran time is running out for nuclear deal as U.S. military builds up in Gulf. So this is 17 hours ago. But this was on, what is it, Drudge?
Is it headlining on Drudge?
Yeah. Countdown, Iran, war games, oil spikes, blah, blah, blah.
If he is, in fact, having an emergency meeting that we're unaware of, I'm sure that this is the content. But who are we doing this for? Who are we doing this for? Let's talk a little bit about the numbers that came out. Fake anti-Iran Mossad news network exposed Iran. See, now I'm doing it. Iran International, Iraq, which is the source for 36,000 killed in Iran, is a Mossad front used regularly for its information war. This is according to Israeli journalists. Also, Iran International has been debunked for spreading fake atrocity propaganda before, such as during the last riot, where again, according to insider government sources, Iran International claimed Armedia Abbasi was raped, beaten, tortured, and had her fingernails pulled out. This is a lie. She came out 3 days after the report with not a scratch on her. They're not based in Iran, nor is it owned by Iranians. Fuck Iran International. I mean, can we trust any of the coverage that's come out?
It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. I mean, and again, remember, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, they severed all internet ties.
Yes.
And then all of these NGOs were discovered bringing and shipping Starlink devices in to try to, bolster. We talked about Mike Pompeo tweeting that Mossad was in the streets with the Iranians as they were protesting their government. But it does not seem like 36,000 people have died. There have been no videos that have surfaced of any of these types of retributions or whatever. And, at the same time, how unreal is it that the president of the United States is going to get up there on the world stage and say, Iran, if you kill any of these Mossad-backed protesters, we're going to bomb the shit out of you.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the Trump administration, and this is a little bit of this leftist argument, but okay, ICE is out there murdering people in Minneapolis. Okay, so what is Iran going to go, Donald Trump, if you don't, I don't know why they would sound like Trump, but, Trump, if you don't stop having ICE kill protesters in Minneapolis, we're going to bomb the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Imagine if, so the whole thing is just so fake and gay.
Oh,
but,
yeah,
Dave,
Trump's...
I think you should do the whole show in that voice.
I know.
I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody would hate it. I already have a very, very punchable face. Has anybody ever seen a face as punchable as mine?
Donald Trump's. Yeah, and his sons who both have punchable faces. So last summer, Trump said, this is the question that everybody should be asking. So Trump said over the strike in the summer, all 3 nuclear sites in Iran were completely destroyed and or obliterated. It would take years to bring them back into service. Why is President Trump threatening war with Iran over nuclear weapons again? Why? And people are not sufficiently asking this question. We have a little montage of all of the times that it was said that Iran is 4 seconds away from developing a full nuclear arsenal. Let's play this.
The deadline for attaining this goal is getting extremely close. And Iran, by the way, is also outpacing Iraq in the development of ballistic missile systems that they hope will reach the eastern seaboard of the United States within 15 years. By next spring, at most, by next summer,
look at that
at
graphic.
current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment and move on to the final stage. From there, it's only a few months, possibly a few weeks, before they get enough enriched uranium for the first bomb.
A few weeks away.
The foremost sponsor of global terrorism could be weeks away from having enough enriched uranium for an entire arsenal of nuclear weapons. That would place a militant Islamic terror regime weeks away from having the fissile
Weeks away,
material
2015.
for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months, less than a year.
Can you believe that? Yes, I can. So the question that people need to be asking about this Iran debacle is, what is the prospect that Israelis are gearing up to use a nuclear weapon in this exchange? Because it's obvious Iran is not, that they don't want to. They don't have the capability to. I mean, I think that we are consistently, the United States, underestimating Iran. We're treating Iran like it's Venezuela or something, like it's some country that doesn't have the capacity to defend itself. I think that they absolutely do. Do I think that they have a readied nuclear arsenal? No. As is evidenced by nothing ever happening. And if they do, which they don't, they clearly do not want to use it. So the question is Israel going to? Is that what they're doing here? Dave, do you want to get in there before we ask for
Well, I
big
was just
picture
going to
guy?
say this came out 30 minutes ago from Rerum Novarum. Israel believes that the United States is aiming for an attack that results in the toppling of the Iranian regime, which is just fucking retarded. That's like not going to happen. But I also was seeing some updates from, was it Bellum Acta or something, one of these Telegram intel networks, that Iran has replenished its stockpile of ballistic missiles back to where it was before Operation Rising Lion, which was when they were striking Israel in retaliation for all of this nonsense that was going on, whatever it was, 6 months ago. And I don't want to take any wind out of Cam's sails, but I think Cam also had some updates potentially about Iran's armament situation. So I don't want to get into there. What was the question again?
Oh, Cameron, before you go on a big
Is
picture.
Israel going to use a nuke against Iran?
Yeah.
If anybody was, it's either going to be us or them. I mean, this is the whole point. Like, Israel has nukes.
Yes.
And there is a tacit implication that at any moment they can use them. That's why they have them, and that's why they deny their nuclear weapons program. Big shout out to Mordecai Vanunu. He was an Israeli citizen that worked in the nuclear facility at Dimona, and he became a whistleblower in like 1986 and spent like 18 years in jail for letting the world know that Israel is a rogue state with nukes, and they have never signed any of these nuclear conventions. They've never admitted to having it. And by the way, there is an angle of this thing that since Israel is an unregulated nuclear state, technically all of the aid that we provide to Israel is illegal. We are only legally allowed to give aid to countries that have signed on to the Geneva Convention. They've signed on to the nuclear non-proliferation treaties, and Israel has done no such thing. They haven't signed off on anything that would restrict them from using things like chemical weapons.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, is it possible that the Israelis use nukes? I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Cameron, can you address this and also mention Iran's military readiness. We had a little discussion before the show about hitting Israel's water supply. If you could also mention that briefly.
Sure. Well, let's talk first about why these folks think they can do it, because what we sort of present on the show is that launching a strike against Iran is lunacy. And I think it is, absolutely. And I would concur with your assessment. But that does not mean that that sort of transparent thinking is dominant inside the Pentagon, in the White House, or in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv. It doesn't mean that at all. Or potentially inside of the United Kingdom as well. All of these are places that it seems are chomping at the bit to strike at Iran, and I think have been for a long time. The first is that Iran internally has been subjected to a lot of crises, particularly over the last 5 years. They have a water crisis. A lot of their reservoirs have dried up because of changes in the weather. So getting fresh water to the population has been problematic, continues to be problematic. They also have an energy crisis. And part of the reason they have an energy crisis is because during the 12-day war this last June, the Israelis did a lot of damage to their energy infrastructure, pipelines and such. And so that has caused disruption to their energy suite. And that has agitated the population. In addition to that, there's been an economic crisis that's ongoing. And there are various reasons for that, but I think it's fair to say that the most important cause has been the sanctions. And the sanctions have been just devastating to Iran, and especially to their middle class, you might say, or their merchant class. It's made the standard of living very difficult in that country. And as a result, there is sort of a festering discontent in that country. Those are considerations that certainly the CIA, Mossad, and others are making. In addition to that, there is the sense that we can decapitate the regime. Now, obviously, this was attempted last summer by the Israelis, and it failed. But we, the United States, didn't really get involved. Yes, we launched this Operation Midnight Hammer, but if you dig into the details of this, and that's something Dave has talked about as well, it seems it was largely theatrical, okay? That there was probably, if not spoken, certainly unspoken agreement between Iran and the United States that our strike and their strike would sort of be tit for tat, and that would be the end of it. Nonetheless, there is still this prevailing sense that we can launch a blitzkrieg military strike, decapitate the regime, and very quickly win this conflict. So that's two. And in addition to that, there is a very strong, and has been a very strong, international cohort of people, some in the United States, some in Europe and beyond, that want regime change in Iran. Some of them are communists, some of them are Republicans, some of them want to bring back a monarchy. And so if you add all of these things together, there is the sense that this operation, not only is it possible, but it could actually be a lightning victory. And then if you add to that this sort of sugar high that came in the aftermath of Assad being removed. You remember, we talked about that. It was one of the earliest episodes that we launched. And that sort of inspired a lot, I think, of exaggerated sense of power in the Israelis and in the United States, and probably in British intelligence as well. And then you have this latest, I think it was a publicity stunt in Venezuela, but nonetheless, they executed it, and they convinced a lot of people that they were able to go into Caracas and steal the president. I can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah, that's what happened. Okay. So if you consider all of those variables from the vantage point of the military industrial complex or the Pentagon, a lot of senior leadership in the military, they think Iran is weak. They think it's fragile. They think the regime is primed to sort of collapse, and all that's required is for the United States to come in and finish the job, a mopping up operation. Now, why is that not the case? Well, I think it's not the case for a few reasons. The first is that opposite Iran, as you alluded to, Rebecca, is this tiny little state about the size of New Jersey called Israel. And the Israelis demonstrated, I think, pretty conclusively last summer that they were unable to defend themselves. And bear in mind that Iran did not go full bore last summer by any means. I mean, they launched a few hundred ballistic missiles. I'm told that a lot of the missiles they used were pretty old. And the Patriot batteries and the other air defense systems that we helped Israel put forth were seemingly unable to deter what Iran could strike. Now, what could they strike? Last summer, it was mostly military targets. About 80% of Israel's water supply comes from, I think, 8 to 10 desalination plants across that country. And yeah, the Iranians know where they are. And yeah, they can hit them. They can strike them. And that would be crippling, absolutely, to Israel. Never mind a lot of the other infrastructure that they could target in a very small country. There's that. Then there are our ships and our forces. And I actually sent you a graphic, Dave. It's in Telegram that shows the distribution of American forces that are widely dispersed across the Middle East. And guess what? The Iranians have the capacity to strike them as well. And it's also noteworthy, just as a side note, that a lot of the Arab states, I think, in fact, the majority, if not all of the Arab states, the Saudis included, have said to the United States and Israel, you're not striking Iran from our borders, from inside our territory. Now, why are they saying that? Well, they're saying that because the Iranians have said very publicly, in fact, I'm going to read a quote to you that comes from Ali Shamkhani, who sits on an advisory body to the Ayatollah. He said, and I quote, a limited strike is an illusion. Any military action by the United States from any origin and at any level will be considered the start of war, and its response will be immediate, all out, and unprecedented, targeting the heart of Tel Aviv and all those supporting the aggressor. That means that this is regional war, okay? So our forces are vulnerable, and I'm going to talk more about that in just a moment, but Israel's vulnerable, we're vulnerable. This is sort of a scenario that's set up for the kind of battle equipment or battle component parts that Iran has, namely drones, and they have them by the tens of thousands, missiles, and they have them by the tens of thousands, and they sort of have a geographical fortress of sorts that they can absolutely defend. Are they going to defend it? Are they internally just going to crack? I don't think so. And I don't think so because essentially they've been left no way out. As Rebecca said, the terms that were put forward to Iran are completely ridiculous. It renders them defenseless. They have to disassemble all their ballistic missiles. They have to disavow all of their proxies in the region, and they have to completely give up their nuclear program. And for what? So that they can be victimized by Israel? Why would you do that? They're not going to do that. What they're going to do is what they're saying on Twitter and elsewhere. They're going to fight back, and they're not going to hold anything back because for them, it's do or die.
Yes.
This is existential. This is where we are headed. I think it's going to be a regional war that drags us in. Now, one other point I want to mention here. This is the second go-round, folks. Last time there were safeguards, and those safeguards existed in part because I don't think the president of the United States wants to do this. I do not. Yes, he's being goaded into it, and we know by whom. Dave especially has been on this, right? This is the Zionist war. This is being pushed by Miriam Adelson and Steve Witkoff and others of their ilk. This sort of Jewish supremacy that wants nothing less than to destroy the state. But Donald Trump orchestrated, I guess you could say, some kind of a way out. What's the way out this time? Where is it? If it's there, I think it's sort of a slimming window. It's a door that's closing fast. That's why I think this war is going to happen. I don't see a reverse gear because the president has been backed into a corner. His own sort of lack of skill set diplomatically has put him in a trap. And I just don't think he's going to be able to get out of it this time.
Yeah, this is a tweet I think that you sent from, I'm not going to be able to say his name, Ali Shamkhani.
Ali Shamkhani, yeah.
He said, a limited strike is an illusion. Any military action by the United States from any origin and at any level will be considered the start of war. Bro, who is advising this guy on his hashtag use? Jeez, old Pete. And its response will be immediate, all out, hashtag all out and unprecedented, targeting heart of Tel Aviv and all of those supporting the aggressor. This was tweeted this morning at 10:42 Pacific time.
Well, the operation over the summer, there seemed some sort of mutual understanding that it wasn't going to go further and that everybody was going to kind of slowly back away. I do not get that vibe this time.
Save face from both
Right,
sides.
right.
Yeah.
So everybody was allowed to save face.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting that from this at all. This
And-
seems like actual mounting tension. Like we're really going to do something here.
It might be. And there's a lot of stuff coming out on X, the Hell app. I got Cameron to smile. This is from the Maverick approach. An Iranian government aircraft with senior officials has just taken off from Tehran to Moscow. They might be moving gold out of the country. Don't know where they get that from, but gold investors have taken $3 trillion in profits, only to double back later. U.S. might attack Iran soon, but there is a flight that is out, and I believe this guy. Where was it? The guy that I just quoted, this dude, I believe he may have been on the flight. There was some other posts circulating about that. We've also got some interesting updates. This is from like 15 minutes ago. Iran's western border near Iraq has gone from crowded to ghost town. Barely 7 or 8 aircraft visible, not the usual overflight rush. Tensions rising. Stay safe, everyone. And yeah, this is that's all coming out on.
Those are diverted aircrafts?
Bellum Acta and divert. No, I'm just airspace seems to be clearing. They haven't issued a NOTAM or anything like that. But you know, it's getting tight. It's getting tense.
So one other thing I want to mention is, I have a video coming out about this next week in which I talk about this in more detail, but what this year is about, right? Last year was sort of the appetizer. It was the overture. This year is the main course. It's the main event. All right. No question about it. But what in effect does that mean? I think it means a regime change. And regime change in this case does not mean that the Ayatollah regime falls and is replaced by something else. No, I'm talking about regime changes that are much bigger than that. The dollar is on its way out. It's vulnerable, it's wounded, it's weakening, and gold and silver are rising. And yes, the bankers are going to try as they might to suppress it, which is why you're seeing it wobble back and forth. And it's going to be a volatile ride, but they're not going to be able to stop it. And they're not going to be able to stop it because the bankers on Wall Street and Wall Street insiders that run the Trump administration, because let's be clear, they do. They don't know what's causing the dollar to fall, namely reckless spending and debt and irresponsible governance and warmongering overseas and threatening people, sanctioning them, tariffing them. None of that has stopped. All of it has sort of escalated. So that is hastening a regime change away from a dollar-dominated monetary system and into something new. I think that's going to be a multipolar monetary world order, but we'll have to see. Either way, you're going to see a regime change there. You're also going to see a regime change, I think, in the international order in general. And that is to say the United States, I think, is going to suffer a big blow here. And I say that specifically because the rules of the game, ladies and gentlemen, they have changed. And specifically, warfare has changed. Take it from me. I just came from the Donbass, as Dave talked about last week, and I saw up close what was happening in Ukraine. And it's devastating. And a lot of it is devastating because warfare is sort of back to being industrial. There's no question about that. But the nature of it, the mechanics of it have changed. They've changed because of drone technology. They've changed because of precision strike lethality, which is more lethal, more precise, more devastating than I think we understand at this stage. And we're about to get an education, and very specifically, our naval forces are about to get an education because Iran has tens of thousands of ballistic missiles and hypersonic missiles. I don't know how many hypersonic missiles they have. I'm told that they've gotten some from the Chinese, but they've got capability for precision strike. And what is that precision strike going to do? Well, I think it's going to destroy potentially America's legions, or one of America's legions, maybe more. And what are America's legions? Our carriers. Our carrier strike groups are America's legions. They represent America's comprehensive national military power around the world. When you think of the United States flexing its muscle overseas, what do you think of? You think of our carriers, and carriers are anachronistic. They're obsolete. They can be destroyed very quickly. I mentioned a moment ago that Iran can reach Israel with its precision-guided strike capability, with its ballistic missiles. It can also reach us. And by the way, it can reach those desalination plants in Israel in about 20 minutes. So something like that could happen to our carriers, and you could see something very similar happen to Donald Trump that happened to Augustus Caesar 2,000 years ago, when 2 Roman legions marched into Germania and got smashed virtually to a man. I think there were 2 Romans that were left alive and sent back to Augustus. And the legend goes that Augustus roamed through the halls of Rome, screaming at the top of his lungs, saying, "Varus, bring me back my legions." Could something like that happen to Donald Trump and America's legions, our carriers? It could. And his carelessness may create that situation. I don't know. Either way, you're going to see a regime change in which America's unipolar moment is over. That's the world we're headed into.
Everybody should be concerned about this. What percentage of Americans do you think are genuinely concerned about this?
I doubt many. I think that the searches for football teams and sports ball is probably much higher than any of this. I mean, these people are zombies. No offense. No offense, Americans. But I go to,
Cameron already called them fat retards. So.
I know. I go out to the store, and I observe people, I watch, and, most people, and I don't know, is it narcissism? I don't think it's I don't feel like a very narcissistic person, but
I think that people
I go out and I look at people, and they seem like zombies. They seem like they're sleepwalking through life, and they're,
which is actually fine. I'm gonna do my rant on this next week. But political apathy is a fine move for any individual that's upholding a moral life. But it's that people are picking and choosing the wrong things to invest their emotional energies into, like this Alex Preddy thing. It's like the people should be more worried about us getting involved in foreign affairs in this way, but they're not. They're freaking out about ICE, which is such a non-issue. This is why Cameron is so vexed by some of our superficial topics, because he just sees the larger picture and he's like, I have nothing to say about ICE because this doesn't matter at all. That picture of Erica Kirk is,
what is this? Sorry, I've got Drudge Report up. Erica Kirk video surfaces as she laughs and praises memorial staff for, quote, event of the century after Charlie's death.
For heaven's sakes.
Bro, this woman, she literally just lost her husband.
Oh, good Lord.
Is this, bro, not to engage in slop, but
we're trying to develop a no slop policy.
That's not going to happen.
Come on, no slop. We can do it. Get your last minute super chats into the backlash.net.
And send us some Bitcoin, damn it. I just paid the bill. It was $60 to keep our BTC pay server up so we can get Bitcoin super chats from you guys.
What's Bitcoin at these days? 1,000?
No, 1,000. No, it's
at 83.
It's at 84, 83, yeah. 84. It took a little dippy do today, and I'm still buying. I bought $100 this morning. Bought another $100.
Before we get into your super chats, let's talk about
something.
How about Antelope Hill?
Antelope Hill. Well, Antelope Hill is, they're fighting to keep history alive amidst a regime of anti-white censorship. They are fighting to equip a new generation of dissidents with the information needed to fight the anti-white regime. They have a varied catalog, including a newly updated and expanded third edition of Dr. Kevin McDonald's Culture of Critique, the essential modern text on Jewish identity. Dr. Ricardo Duchesne's magnum opus, Greatness and Ruin, the definitive scholarly examination of European exceptionalism, as well as works by Kerry Bolton, Paul Kersey, and Josh Neal. Antelope Hill recently brought David Irving's iconic book, Nuremberg, The Last Battle back into print. And they've also got numerous translations of historical works from eras such as Fascist Italy, National Socialist Germany, and Civil War Spain, previously unavailable in English. There are also plenty of books on contemporary issues such as transgenderism, the opioid crisis, and Christian nationalism, as well as history books, novels, and children's books. So whatever your interest is, you're bound to find books that you like. Damn it, I lost my spot. You're bound to find books that you like at Antelope Hill, all professionally published with sleek modern cover art. Help us and help our people by checking out companies that share our values and fight for the cause. Visit Antelope Hill Publishing today. And yeah, where's the...
Lord Miles is on there? Cool.
Oh, yeah, he's one of their people. Nuremberg, The Last Battle. I'm going to be starting to read this one very soon. I already know, but it doesn't hurt to do a little reading.
Little brush up.
Yeah, and one of the other books that I figured I'd also plug, it was very good. I got a copy of it way back in the day in like 2021. This is one of Antelope Hill's first books. It was The Burning Souls by Leon deGrelle. Leon deGrelle, very interesting character. He was like one of the youngest elected presidents of a European nation.
Really?
I think he was like 18 or 19 years old.
Good Lord.
If you've seen The Adventures of Tintin, that's based on Leon deGrelle.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so anyway, he wrote a book. It's like prose. It's kind of poetic, but it's about his time fighting on the Eastern Front with the Waffen-SS Walloon Division, which was the only Catholic division within the SS. And it's an incredible book to hear about everything that these people sacrificed trying to fight Bolshevism and save their country. Check it out. And use promo code Backlash10 and get 10% off your order.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. What do we have on entropy?
Nothing, because entropy is down.
Entropy's down.
No super chats for Nick.
Oh, man.
Let me try again. Entropy. Oh, it's up now. Well, I'll hit the button. Hold on.
Let me see what we've got on the YouTube.
Give me a second. Now that it's back up, may as well see if there's something we can squeeze it out of them. Okay, we're up on entropy. So if you're watching and you've been wanting to super chat on entropy, you can do that now. Please.
All right, let me do some on
Spank you.
On YouTube. Six Sigma, $50. No, thank you, sir or ma'am. We appreciate it. Mark
Levin.
Newcomb.
Mark Newcomb? Newcomb?
I'm always worried I'm saying something inadvertently that's disgusting and that people are going to clip it. Dave, where the Dead Sea Scrolls fake to make it seem like the Hebrew Old Testament is older than the Greek. Also, you guys should have Dr. Deep State on as a guest. The way that they put these is so weird. It ruins my cadence.
There is some interesting stuff about the Dead Sea Scrolls. I do think that it's possible that some of it was fake, but there's a lot of it also, like the Didache. The Didache is, excuse me, it's like one of the oldest, let me pull it up real quick. Didache. It's like the oldest extant Christian scripture. And that was found in some of the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's very straightforward. It's an easy read. So I don't know. I mean, like it seems like there was some of it that could have been fake. There's some of it that could be real. I haven't studied it too much. I need to look into it more, maybe. The Protestants get all uppity with the Dead Sea Scrolls and, like the Book of Enoch and all of this. And I'm just like, just give me the Bible. Just give me the Septuagint. Give me the Greek. Give me the original stuff. I'm not looking. I mean, anybody that's like a Christian and they're like getting into all this novel, prophecy and like
Protestant nonsense.
Bro, stay away from all of that. Stay away from it.
On that note, Agent K says, you were born for such a time as this. It applied to Esther and to each of you. God doesn't make mistakes. You know and believe what you do for a reason. That's empowering.
I think that's true.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that everything that is happening is purposeful, and I think we are here to deal with it and overcome it. And take what I say as a challenge. We need it. We need this crisis that's coming. I think a lot of people don't think about it that way. It's something I know Rebecca and I talk about a lot, but look, things are going to get difficult. They will, but that's what's needed. And it's going it's going to force us to get our act together. Nothing else is, right? Dave is right. You know, the cowboy game is on. Okay, well, I can't be bothered with this little fiasco in the Middle East in countries I don't know anything about. Why should I care? Well, it's going to affect you this time. And when you do care, then all of a sudden things will get better.
Yep.
And I think we're headed for a moment of tremendous catharsis. And that's when you're going to see the population really come in. I also think, too, even though I stand by what I said earlier, we are not great right now. We are absolutely unhealthy physically, physiologically, spiritually, and otherwise. I do think awareness is growing. And I think it's going viral in some sense. So what we need is that awareness to begin to manifest in the real world. And I think that's going to start to happen this year. I really do.
I agree. Thank you, David Steele. Thunderstorm says, I can remember reading articles about Israeli policy wanting revenge against allied Middle Eastern nations that supported the Axis nations, Iran, Syria, Palestine. I wonder when this was. I can remember reading articles. Thank you, Thunderstorm. I appreciate that. What do you have over on your end?
I got a lot. Not a lot, but enough. A few. Could be more. Could have a lot more.
The shilling continues.
Clempath sent a big super chat, $100. Thank you very much for the big super chat. Is it possible to do a show or a segment on how modern architecture is a globalist scheme, attacks traditional culture and heritage, and lacks divine inspiration and beauty? Yeah, sure. We could do that. For $100, I'll do that.
Modern architecture is a globalist scheme. Oh, yeah. Totally.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's designed to demoralize you. I mean, go look at the before and after pictures of Dresden, Berlin, all of these major European city centers, and what was once pointing up and beautiful is now shitty. This has been thoroughly discussed on the dissident right for decades.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that, though.
Yeah, we could go into it. And, it'd be interesting, too, because
in art. I made a video about this years ago.
Yeah, it's one of those things, with all the local elections and stuff like that that's
Get
going
out of here,
on.
Dave.
Well, no, I mean, Coeur d'Alene's got planning and zoning, Rathdrum's got planning and zoning, and so, are these people, what are they going to do? Because, they have an opportunity to, I don't know, make buildings beautiful again.
Yeah.
Get on your local planning and zoning board. I don't know. See what you can do. It could be good. You could outlaw the fake and gay globalist architecture. Just a thought.
There was an interesting article came out, I want to say a few years ago, about one of Jackson Pollock's piece, and I'm not a fan of Jackson Pollock, but apparently embedded in what looks like just gibberish are fractals that conform to the Fibonacci sequence.
No, I'm not buying this at all.
But
yeah, you got to read the article. It's pretty interesting.
I hate to do it. Are
you going to defend the dreaded Jackson Pollock?
No, Jackson Pollock was a CIA spook.
So much money was laundered through his artwork. He also was an alcoholic, wife abuser. He would just get plastered and then do these terrible nothing paintings.
True.
Oh, look at this. I can do this. Here you go. Don't buy his book. Read it on archive.org. E. Michael Jones' book, Living Machines. Looks like there's a copy on Archive. You might be able to just, so you could log in and borrow it. But this book is all about how the communists completely destroyed architecture, Bauhaus and brutalism and all of this funky, goofy shit that just...
Ugly.
What? Did you... That's weird. Okay.
You owe me a Coke.
You owe me 3 Cokes. You owe me 3 Cokes. I was even going to say modern Catholic church ugly.
Oh yeah.
Look at these, ever since, Vatican II, they started making
Have you been to
these
St.
churches.
Pius in town?
Look at this. That's beautiful. This is nice. This is beautiful. This is good. This is boring and drab and disgusting. And look, what the hell? What the hell is this?
That's unsightly.
Yeah, so, look at this thing. It looks
Didn't
like,
we talk about
dude, this
cutting,
looks like
cutting the
Sauron's
stream
lair.
time down today? Let's hustle, Dave.
All right.
That is the worst thing I've ever seen about
I know. It looks like the Eye of Sauron or something. What is this? The Liverpool Metropolitan Cathedral.
Oh, for heaven's
Look at this.
sakes.
It looks like Mordor. It looks like the Twin
does,
Towers or something. I don't know. Jeez,
right.
that's ugly. Anyway, the Orthodox are sent $10. Hey, y'all, I won't be able to catch this one live. Thursday stream, I'll take it. Anyways, Blonde, I got to say, nice rack in the thumbnail. And Dave, I love you, brother. I sent you DMs on Twitter with the same name as here. God be with all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will check my DMs.
I trained my AI to show the appropriate amount of cleavage.
Very good.
I did.
Very good. I am not polluting my AI history with, okay, now can you no, I'm not doing that. I'm not. Can you please Photoshop my podcast co-host, make her boobs perky, please? Like, I don't want that in my history.
That's exactly what my grok history is
Oh
like.
my God.
It's like, is this skin lesion normal?
Oh, vey. Musing Trucker sent $10 on Rumble. Can we grope Dave?
Yes. Yeah.
That's
on the
fine.
table, yeah.
For money, I'll do it.
Yep.
Hey, I'm not gay, but $20 is $20. Tomahawk sent $10. Darn it, I wasn't quite finished listening to the replay of Dave's show yesterday. Very informative.
Hey, it's getting good reviews.
It is getting some good reviews. Very nice. And the live chat, your live chat was very nice to me.
Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Now you got to be mean to me because my ego's going to get inflated. My dad even called me and he was like, that was a great stream.
You're like, oh.
And I'm like, oh shit.
Oh no.
Somebody get me
Oh,
a
no.
pin. I got to pop the head to make sure I can fit in the doorway upstairs. Reinhardt sent $25. Go ahead and cancel my ticket. I didn't know I couldn't punch Dave.
Oh.
Listen, Reinhardt, I already texted him. When I saw that come in live and I texted him, listen, Reinhardt, if being able to you get one shot, not in the face. We can make it happen.
I've met him. He's 6'4".
Not in the kidneys either. Or my liver is very bad. Okay, so no kidney shots, no liver shots. Maybe like a.
What about rabbit punches? Rabbit punches.
Rabbit punches? What about a donkey
right?
punch? What's a donkey punch? I
I think that's a sex thing. So I'm not.
Yeah,
gonna,
I saw some
I'm not
Jeopardy.
gonna
I saw
Google.
some Jeopardy thing the other day where it was a rabbit punch, but anyway. All right.
Now I have to look.
Reinhardt, if you want to hit me, you can. Son of Rasmus sent $10. E-Verify won't help. The company I work for, which is historically white, just hired a Mexican who barely speaks English and is an outside hire to a well-sought-after management position instead of one of the many white internal candidates who applied.
Yep.
That's awful.
And, there is, in the works, I should probably get back in touch with them. Should I do it? Chat, should I do this? There is a pro-white advocacy nonprofit that has recently been founded and given IRS approval as a 501c4.
What?
To advocate on behalf of white Americans.
It's a trap. It's probably feds.
It's not. They offered me the spokesman
You should definitely do
position. Oh, maybe I will. I'll give them a call back.
it. Don't Google donkey punch.
Don't Google donkey.
I just
Don't
did, and
Google
it was a
blue
mistake.
waffles either.
No, definitely don't do that. I know that one.
Tub girl.
No. No more.
Oh, geez.
We're trying to be a serious show
there
here.
There is an advocacy group in the works that will hopefully be able to lobby private and public interests for things like this. So as more information about that is made public and available, I will look forward to sharing that with you guys because we desperately do need something like this. We need some group to stand up for white Americans. They're being displaced. White genocide is real.
Backlash.
Yeah, the backlash too. Yeah. Maybe we should take a little road trip down to Micron.
Think smaller, okay?
Yeah, okay. Tomahawk sent $10. Imagine selling the same car to 100 different people. Then one day they all show up at the same time to collect their vehicle. That is what's happening with silver.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what I was saying earlier. Is that nothing you said is wrong, Dave. It's just that, some of it is. But the fact of the matter is that we're in a mania, right? We're in a mania because people are beginning to catch on that the dollar is on its way out and they want real money. And silver and gold are real money. And the exchanges don't have them. for all kinds of reasons. So yeah, he's right. That's exactly what's going on.
And it's not just silver. Remember that there is fractional reserve banking, and that applies to everything that is being held in the bank. I was teaching Emmeline about that the other day.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, the bank doesn't actually have our money. And she's like, what? Even a 5-year-old understands this, guys.
You saw the gold chart. Have you actually looked at the silver chart over the last 6 months? Forget about last year. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And it has not moved like this in decades.
Yep.
Decades.
Let me pull it up because silver. It's crazy. If you look at this chart,
Look at this.
and then look at the volume.
Yeah.
It's like up until like a week ago, there was no volume and anywhere, even back here, compared to what we're seeing happen now, where it's just through the roof.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But see, that's not a surge of industrial activity, right? That's my point.
Yes.
So this is a major shift, folks. And what's interesting is if you watch the mainstream press, which I'm not too proud to admit I do, they are sort of laughing this off. And sort of like boomers sitting around talking about, I don't know, gun rights in the midst of the collapse of our civilization. But they're sort of like, what does this mean, Bob? And some of them get it, but a lot of them don't. They don't seem to understand that this is a direct consequence of decades and decades and decades of destroying our currency. And now the world doesn't want it anymore. And pretty soon, I don't think the population will either.
We've got some breaking. Let's see. Rerum Novarum. Come back here. I get their Telegram updates. Thursday evening, just before the shutdown. Okay, that's not it. What it says on my phone or my watch is breaking, quote, now, therefore, I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the situation with respect to Cuba constitutes an unusual and extraordinary threat which has its source in whole or in substantial part outside the ... I got to continue on my phone.
That's what this was about?
The Cuban communist regime supports terrorism and destabilizes the region, blah, blah, blah. United States has zero tolerance for the depredations of the communist Cuban regime. The communist Cuban regime, the United States will act to protect foreign policy, the national security, and national interest of the United States by holding the Cuban regime accountable for its malign actions and relationships, blah, 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 blah. Which has its source in whole or substantial part outside the United States. To the national security and foreign policy of the United States, do hereby declare a national emergency with respect to that threat. To deal with the national emergency, I declared in this order that I determined that it is necessary to appropriate and establish a tariff system. Under the system, an additional velorum duty may be imposed on imports of goods that are products of a foreign country that directly or indirectly sells or otherwise provides any oil to Cuba. In my judgment, the tariff system is necessary and appropriate to address the national emergency declared in this order.
Is this Narco Rubio?
Yeah, 100%. So we'll get some more info on that as it breaks. This has to do with the government shutdown.
I didn't even mention that.
Blah, blah,
I was
blah.
like,
Yeah, whatever.
Who cares?
Moving on, Super Chats. Epigenetic Force sent $10. A lot of people are predicting a silver crash this year. Do you think that's likely? Should I consider getting it now? Is gold a more stable choice given the market? Also, FYI, suppliers are having a really hard time filling orders right now. Cam, thoughts?
So you are going to see pullbacks and big ones, which to some degree we saw tonight. And I think you're going to see a very volatile and erratic market for some time because this is a war, right? This is the Western bankers and everybody else, the global South, the Chinese, what have you, in a tug of war for control of the monetary order. And for my money, that means that gold and silver are only going to keep going up. But in the meantime, you're going to see the bankers position themselves in such a way to short these markets and bring those price points down. That's probably what's going on as we speak, with this sort of correction. Some of it, too, is the mania, right? So all markets, as they explode higher, they experience these sort of pullbacks that are healthy. And I, at least, and I think Dave's probably doing the same, are buying those dips. But we're going higher. Absolutely. I think we're going much, much higher. How high? Who knows? But we're in the throes of a kind of mania that to some degree is ballasted by substance, right? It's ballasted by the notion that the dollar is on its way out. This is the regime change that I talked about a minute ago. So yeah, the silver's going to pull back. You're going to see massive moves to the downside, and then it's going to recover and move higher. And I think both gold and silver are going to experience that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always buying, whether it's Bitcoin, gold, or silver. I buy, I don't sell. I'm stupid. I don't know how to time the market.
Well, no one
so
really does.
I just buy things that aren't dollars. This is from
Well,
Clash.
one way to time the market is, and I've told Dave this before, he didn't listen to me, is go on Twitter and read the comments. And however many people are bullish, take the other side of that trade.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a Bitcoin guy. He's a crypto analyst. I think his name is Benjamin Cowan. I don't know if you know who he is, Dave.
Yes.
But he has actually put a social media metric into his models to approximate temporary or local highs. He's right. I do that all the time. I have said the last few weeks, I think silver is going to pull back. Why? Because everybody's talking about getting into silver. Right?
Yeah.
So use Twitter as a counter signal.
Yeah, this is his website. It's called intothecryptoverse.com. They've got
that's right.
different stuff, social scores, risk portfolio.
Social score. Yep, that's what it is.
Exit, da-da-da. But yeah, he's got some interesting stuff for sure. There is a tweet here from Clash Report. Breaking, Donald Trump has signed an executive order declaring a national emergency over Cuba and authorizing new tariffs on countries that supply oil to the island. Very interesting. It's also interesting because they kind of punted on the tariff thing. No, we're good. We're good. I've got 10 minutes before we got to get off.
When is Trump gonna tariff Easter Island? I'm waiting for that one.
God, can we stay on one thing?
No, ADD maximalism.
No, not you,
Oh.
Trump. The Trump administration. Like, what is this?
He can walk and chew gum at the same time.
We just have our hands in too many. What is the phrase I'm looking
Fingers in too many pies.
for? Is that it? That sounds
Cookie
right.
jars.
Okay.
Cookie jars.
I am so hungry. Don't talk about pie.
Pie. Macaroni and cheese with crumbled crispy bacon on top.
Oh, stop. When will this fast end?
Black Pilled Big Rig sent $10. Replay crew here. Rarely catch it live, but love the show. One small ask. Please let Dave finish his points. He's often talked over, and I'm really interested in where he's going. I mostly tune in for the men's perspective.
I'm sorry. I feel like I rarely.
Brawl.
I feel like I rarely speak over you. To be fair, it is my job to try to tighten the show up.
Yeah.
So typically when I'm interrupting somebody, I'm trying to gently tell them to shut up because we need to move on.
No, I think he's talking to me because I've interrupted Dave a lot.
You interrupted my Atlas Bullion commercial. It's true.
Did.
Anna Drim sent $100. No.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you for the big super chat. Black Pilled Big Rig. I'm not even doing. Who is this? What is this? This is the second thing from Black Pilled Big Rig. Rebecca, you were out of control today. Interrupting and mocking co-host comes across as unprofessional. This is a Zionist. Cam, you interrupted more than usual too. Please let everyone finish their points. That's a Zionist. That's bait.
When did I mock?
Well, he's not wrong in my case.
I don't know. That's bait. They're trying to cause infighting. Screw that. Robert sent $25.
Thanks for the donation.
I agree with that super chatter. Modern buildings are hideous, especially schools, since they adopted building plans of an architect known for designing prisons. Same with cars. No more sharp angles. Just non-offensive, ugly, round cough drops. 07 guys. Dude, it's true. The guys that are all of the schools, they're designed like prisons.
Yeah.
It's not I won't say that out loud. But not all schools. Some schools are nice. Some schools are beautiful. You've never seen schools like we have them here in Idaho. We have the best schools. Sometimes. Tomahawk sent $10. I think the real reason you postponed the show is you knew I got paid today and would throw money at you like a drunken sailor at a strip club.
Got it.
Based.
You got it.
I did know.
He's right.
There was a YouTube super chat that I saw come in that I'm not sure if we got. Yeah, here it is. From Imperial Rocker sent $10 on YouTube. Tom Cruise is awesome. What? Did we talk about Tom Cruise?
Nope.
Bro, Tom Cruise.
He's 5'6".
Mel Gibson.
Oh, yeah.
Mel Gibson. Way better than Tom Cruise.
I'm going to watch Beyond Thunderdome tonight.
Beyond Thunderdome.
My favorite of the Mad Max series. Don't hate me. It's my favorite one.
Tomahawk sent $10. You have to wonder how many saboteurs Iran has inside our... Very good. I think we have actually caught up on all the super chats. Womp
Awesome.
womp. No Bitcoin ones.
Thank you so much, David Steele. I will read one of yours since you sent two $5. The Iran attack is a device to cover up the imminent collapse of the financial system coinciding with impeding the U.S. government shutdown. Yes.
Very could be. I mean, this is what happened with COVID. I mean, I remember doing a live stream with this guy in Ireland back in the day, and I was talking about how there's going to be a financial collapse and something's going to happen, and they're going to blame something else other than the financial system itself. And that's exactly what happened.
What's happening.
And we had COVID. That was just to put a mask over what was going on with the economy. It was fake, gay. And, we very well could be looking at something similar. But you know what isn't fake and gay?
Coffee.
Nice, hot, black cup of coffee in the morning.
Somebody
no cream.
edit that. Big, hot, nice, black.
Yeah, just... Anyway, Above Time Coffee Roasters are the only, as far as I'm aware, the only pro-white coffee company in the United States of America. They make premium hand-roasted small batch fair trade coffee that will put a pep in your step. They will get you. I mean, it's like, everything that they ever said about Folgers or Maxwell House, that was all like sawdust compared to Above Time coffee. It has a rich flavor, bold taste. It's not bitter, and it's not been sitting on shelves collecting mold like the big box store crap, Maxwell House and whatever else you got. They've got whole bean coffees that are absolutely delicious. They also now have back in stock the Above Time Coffee French press, and they've got grinders. If you want to get into drinking coffee like a hobby, the guys at Above Time Coffee have you covered. They've even got a little mocha pot that you can get. It's good stuff. Tasty. And if you use promo code Backlash10, you'll get 10% off your coffee. So visit AboveTimeCoffee.com. Support the white race by drinking coffee.
Dave, when you do ads, it makes me want to be a better person.
It does.
Stop
it. It's watching somebody in their element. Like, I really like to watch figure skating. I don't know why, because it's just watching somebody do what they're really good at. And I get that same feeling.
Born to shill.
You were born to shill.
No, it was so funny too, because last night, I wound up, I couldn't believe it. I went for an hour and a half on my own last night. And it's you you do your thing, you get as far as you can, and then it's all right, I don't know where I'm going next, but I'm going to just read an ad and I'm back in my element, and then I'm ready to go for another 20 minutes. But we don't have another 20 minutes. What we do have is a fantastic event here in North Idaho that you could be a part of. This February, the weekend of February 27th through March 1st, join Rebecca and I here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho for a black tie dinner, a couple of cocktail hours, some local events going on, some quality alone time with Rebecca and me.
That picture is straight out of Super Troopers, man.
This
one? Is it funny?
Is that
real.
AI or
no? That's real.
No,
that's a real picture.
That's me from the military ball.
And this is me
ago.
from a similar black tie event in the area. No, that is a real picture. And so is this. That's a real picture of Coeur d'Alene in the snow, in the winter. It's beautiful. We've got a whole weekend of activities lined up for you. 3 different tiers, depending on whether or not you need a hotel. If you do, we can take care of all of that. If you got questions, or if you want to coordinate, you want to come up and figure out how this works, send us an email, info@thebacklash.net, or you can use our contact page. We've got a little contact us thing. You can send us a contact form. We can discuss further how to do this thing up, but it's going to be a very exclusive, nice, fine evening, couple of evenings with your favorite podcast hosts. And we're looking forward to meeting you guys IRL.
Thank you so much. This is The Backlash. We will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Who's our guest on Monday?
Oh, is it Radix Verum?
Radix Verum. There we go. Set your calendars.
Bye, guys.